Welcome to another episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. This podcast was designed to let you know that you aren't the only one that took forever to get it together. So the rabbit hole that you have stumbled down will hopefully help you understand that just when you think it's over, it's only the beginning. Just because you were dealt a bad hand doesn't mean you have to keep it. Welcome to the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast.
And what's going on, you guys? Welcome. I can't even talk. Welcome to another episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. It is your boy, Terry. Man, we're going to get into episode 8 here in just a second, but I want to catch up to folks that are brand new that have not listened to episode 1 through 7. You might want to go through those before you jump into episode 8 because you'll be confused if you don't, right? So episode 7, we was talking about, I think I ended the last episode. I left Illinois this is in 2014. So circa 2014, man, I went through a lot of stuff back in 2014, man. I left the woman who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And, she had moved on and, I was left behind. And so I went into my next chapter, which is the career. I think, this chapter I'm going to talk about tonight is kind of one of the craziest chapters of my life that I went through. And I went through a lot, but the premise of this podcast episode tonight is to make sure that you guys are able to recognize crazy through the door. Now, one thing I will say about, crazy is that everybody that's walking the planet, male, female, girl, boy, it doesn't really matter. Everybody walks with a level of crazy, right? Everybody does. Everybody. So there's no shortage of crazy in the world, right? But it is the ability to recognize what level of crazy you're willing to take and put up with, right? So we're gonna go right into episode 8. Now, episode 8, I told you guys at the end of episode 7 that I got on the plane and I'm going back to North Carolina. Now, what happened before all of that happened was I found a old childhood crush that I had when I was very, very young, 10 or 11 maybe. And I met this woman. I'm not going to name her name, but she probably doesn't care if I did or not, but because she was out there, right? So, I was a kid. Let me give you a little bit of backdrop. I was a kid and my dad used to preach at this church every fourth Sunday of every month. He would go to the same church, and it was back in my hometown. And every Sunday, this young lady and her grandmother and all of them, they would come to the church. And so I developed this crush on her. It was just this amazing crush, but we lost contact. And so over the years, and I was looking for her and things of this nature. And when I was going through the things with Strawberry right there at the end, I found her on Facebook. And we became friends on Facebook, and everything was good. Everything was good. We was talking, we would FaceTime, and all that. But she was just on another level. So we got to the point where we made a decision to get together and make a run for it. Cause I had my run with Strawberry and that was over and done. And so I went with this, what do I have to lose? Right? Because what I was in was failing and I didn't know what God had in store going forward. So I leave, I leave Illinois. I leave the whole thing and I get on this plane. She meets me at the airport. Now, let me tell you something about this woman. When I get off the plane and I come through baggage claim to get my suitcase, she came with the guns blazing. You understand? I mean, she came with the sundress, no undergarments, top or bottom. She came with the thunder, right? So that was really intriguing to me because at that point in my life, it's all about the physical. So we go back to her place, and I moved in with her. I go back to her place, and there was no sign of it's like Martin. If you guys have ever watched You So Crazy, and he had that part of You So Crazy when he was saying there was no sign of her being crazy, deranged, and that is what this was. There was no sign of her being crazy and deranged. So we get back to the apartment. We do what adults do. And after that, it just fell apart, right? So I go back, I'm back home, and I don't know what happened with her. I don't know what switch was flipped. I don't know, but she became this really controlling woman. And, like she would make me do things because, I'm a homebody. Anybody that knows me, anybody that knows me, know that I'm a homebody. I go out every now and then, but I'm not that, that go out type person. And so she used to make me go out and do things, and go to church. I just, I wasn't really into that, as I was still mourning the loss of Strawberry. So I really couldn't even get into it. So we, so she tried. I mean, and so for the most part, I complied, because I just didn't want to hear a whole bunch of nonsense. So of course I had to go back and look for a job. I went back to a job that I had worked years prior. You get those jobs that, you know, there's no, their turnover is crazy and you can go back and get a job anytime you want. It was like that. And so I went back and I got this job at this place I used to work. So I can't think of the name of that place now, but not the Connections. I think that's what it was. It was a phone company, or it was a third party for OnStar. And OnStar was, early in their infancy. You need to call up and get directions and all that jazz. But I went back. Now, a lot of the stuff that I had when I was there previously was a child support order and things of this nature that I was going through. So when I went back, they had my social security number. So of course that hit automatic, right? That first check, I was like $400 short, and I'm like, what's going on here? And it was like, because of a previous child support order. So I was like, oh my God, this is gonna. So I go back to work and I bring home that first paycheck, and it's $400 short. And we had to pay light bill or whatever. But we ended up going to Carowinds or something that day, or that weekend, whatever, before I got paid. So that left us short. So she flipped her lid, and like, what's going on with you? Da, 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 da. And, I was just like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know they were going to do that, whatever, whatever. But ever since that moment, she flipped the script all the way. Like, if you can't be a man, da, 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 and all that. But what I realized too was that she was really judgmental, right? She was really judgmental, man. Like I told you guys, we went to Carowinds. Now at this time, I was a little bit bigger, right? And so we tried to get on one of the rides, and they could not get the safety clasp, or the safety harness on me, because I was, a little bit larger. So she picked at me when I'm telling, we talking about childhood bully level type stuff. And so after the Carowinds incident, after the first paycheck incident, it went to, I'm gonna bully you now, and she became this bully. And we used to, of course, but with us living together and being in a relationship, we used to sleep in the same bed. But of course, I snore. I'm a dude, and most dudes snore, and so I snored. And because I snored, she threw me out of the bedroom, because I snored. On top of the bullying, on top of the beating up of the manhood and all that jazz, she threw me out of the bedroom. So, okay, I was sleeping in another bedroom. So I started doing what I was supposed to do, or what I thought I was supposed to do. And I went to plan B. I started talking to other females and things of this nature because, hey, no, you bully me. You berate my manhood. You threw me out of the bedroom, because of me snoring. Are you serious? Is that the only reason why you got to throw me out of the bedroom? But anyway, so I started talking to this one female. Now, this chick was in like Mississippi, never met, never talked on the phone, none of that. But she caught wind that I was talking to another female, and she messaged this lady. And this lady, when I tell you, she lied through her teeth. She took, and I'm like, come on, what level of crazy are you on? Like, for real. And so The lady told her, yeah, I done been down there. We done slept together. We done did this and we done did that. And I'm like, you presented it to me like I'm cheating on you physically with this lady. Now, where have I been? Where have I gone? I've been in this house every day. I go to work, I come home. You pick me up from work. Oh, yeah, you actually, well, she used to pick me up from work. She stopped doing that. And so I was on my own. And so when I tell you this lady went to the level of crazy. So she didn't have a cell. I like that. She didn't have a cell phone. You know, now mind you, keep in mind, this lady was bullying. This lady had berated my manhood. I mean, it's just nasty stuff. And of course, we stopped having sex and stuff like that. And, all that comes with the territory when you start to bully somebody because you're not going to bully somebody and then screw them. You're not going to do that. Right. So, but still, though, me being the simp that I was at the time, she needed a cell phone and I wanted a cell phone. And so we went to AT&T and I think we went to AT&T while we was in good graces. This is before everything went nuts. And I got her a cell phone, got me a cell phone. We were rocking, you know what I'm saying? And so when we went to Carowinds, I lost my cell phone on a ride. It was in my pocket and one of those rides went upside down and I don't know what ride I was riding on, but my cell phone didn't make it. And so went back to AT&T, got another cell phone. She got her a cell phone. And so the worst thing is, guys, she actually introduced another man into our relationship, like because of the first check incident and me being short on my first check. She was like, well, if you can't pay the bills, I'll get somebody else to do it. And so she had another dude pay whatever bill that we had to pay. I think it was the light bill. And, she had this other dude pay for the bill. I was like, well, dang, if you're going to introduce another party into the relationship, you could have told me. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have to go behind my back and you didn't have to do that. I get it. I mean, I came up short. I get it. But you didn't have to do that. Anyways, when I tell you she was Looney Tune batch crazy, I'm like, I know I done a lot of stuff, but I don't think I deserved what I got, from her. And yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, going, you mean tell me I left Illinois for this? I could have stayed in Illinois if I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? So, excuse me. So we got to the point where we broke up and it was a nasty breakup. And we're not talking about, get out and everything. It was just hunky dory. It wasn't like that. When I tell you we broke up, it was nasty. It was get your stuff, get out. And matter of fact, let me help you. And she threw all of my stuff out, on the patio. And she was like, get your stuff, go. You got to go. And I'm like, okay, all right. Just keep in mind, cell phone the cell phone you talking ish to me on, about me to, the cell phone that you're using is in my name. So I was like, okay, you gonna put me out? That's how you feel? All right, cool. So me thinking I'm the king of petty, so I go to AT&T. I go to AT&T and disconnect her phone automatically. Like, oh, well, you're not gonna keep a phone in my name. You don't put me out. Are you serious right now? No, you finna go ahead and get it up. And so I went to AT&T and I cut off her phone. I ended up moving into a hotel. They had those weekly rates that you can live in. I think it was called In-Town Suites at the time. Not sure if it's there anymore, but I moved into a place called the In-Town Suites and they had a little living room. The bedrooms all combined. You got your one bed, kitchen. And I'm not sure how she found out where I lived, but she knew exactly she knew exactly what room I lived in. So there's one particular day, I'm sitting there, I'm like laying on my bed, just chilling, maxing on a Saturday. I'm out of my business. And I get a knock, I get a banging, not even a knock. It was a banging at the door. And I answer the door, and it's her. And she was like, what the, you cut off my phone, da, 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 da. And the next thing I know, her phone is back on. I'm like, I'm not sure how that happened. Like, how'd you do that? Like, is that magic? You some kind of, you part of the Harry Potter guild or something? How'd you do that? And what I found out was I didn't have a password. I ended up having to call AT&T and having the password put on the phone or on the account that way she couldn't reactivate the phone. And so she came that day ready to fight. Like, we talking about fist fight. We talking about, fisticuffs, you know, shoot 'em up movies. That's kind of what it was. And she was ready to fight. And I'm like, I'm gonna fight you. You don't put me out. You know what I'm saying? So I went through that, and I'm living in this hotel, taking public transportation and just trying to pick up life. And I just could not. I could not. No matter what I thought, no matter what I tried, it just didn't work. Like, how did I get so down in the dumps to where I leave one failed relationship? Excuse me. I leave one failed relationship right into another crazy one that was worse than when I left. It was sweet at first, man. I'm telling you, it was sweet. But I found out very quickly that people are not who they say they are. And that's a lesson that I had to learn. So, of course, there's always a cautionary tale in every episode that I do. And in this episode, the cautionary tale is this. One, make sure that you're ready to handle the level of crazy, right? Number two, catch the red flags. When people start changing the game, they start changing the rules in the middle of the game, recognize that. Don't keep doing the same thing. Sometimes you have to adjust. People, will throw curveballs at you. It's just like players. It's like baseball players. They go out here. They're swinging at fastball, curveball, sliders. Change up. Things happen. People change. And it changes every minute. And you have to be ready to adjust your swing, as it were, because people are just. And I was not ready. I was not physically ready. I was not emotionally ready to get into anything with this woman, but did it because I wanted to be away from what I was coming out of. So it's a lesson that we all have to learn. Like, can we, we have to adjust to people. Another cautionary tale is, it goes back to number two. I mean, you have to recognize when you are ready. If you are not ready, and then that's the biggest thing. People jump from one to the other, thinking that it's going to be okay, and we think we can just take our drama and our trauma into from one to the other. It's not going to work. It's going to always, because those things, trauma with a T and drama with a D, will make you reevaluate your life. And if you're not ready for it, leave it alone. In today's society, people talk about, if you're broke, don't date, don't do. If you're, and that's kind of a true thing. If you are emotionally broke, don't, because it causes more harm than good. Trust me when I tell you. If you think that you finna walk around here emotionally broke and try to date somebody who's not emotionally broke, you're gonna be messed up, right? So make sure that you do not mess with people. Make sure you get your stuff in order. It's just like my friend Courtney always says to me. She texted me the other day and she was like, get your shit together. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to do. So we got to make sure that we have our stuff together, because emotional trauma hurts. It hurts, and it goes way beyond the physical. Some scars run deep. There are scars that I'm still dealing with to this day. June 30, 2025, I still deal with stuff that I try to take from one relationship to the other, to the other, to the other. And the scars just keep getting deeper and deeper. And sometimes you just got to let those scars, you got to stop. And you have to heal those scars from the inside out. It doesn't come easy. Sometimes you got to put in work. Sometimes you got to look at the mirror. Sometimes you got to be like, okay, I caused this. Sometimes we got to take accountability for the actions. We got to take accountability for what we do. And sometimes that's the hardest part, because we don't want to. We don't want to take accountability because taking accountability isn't the easiest thing to do, right? One thing that I learned with this lady, and like I said, I'm not gonna give her name, but this lady, I think I heard somewhere or read somewhere that she is now married And I'm like, bless you, brother, because I'm not sure, I'm not sure what level you on, but God bless you. That I was not ready. I don't blame her for nothing. I should, but a lot of the hurt that I endured in that was, again, self-inflicted because I took the drama with the D from strawberry on to the next one and didn't heal from it. And whatever I went through with the next lady, I went through brutality. What I went through with strawberry was emotional. What I went through with the other lady was physical. And it just compacted and it just made the scars deeper. Sometimes you got to, but at the end of the day, we have to stop and we have to heal those emotional scars from the inside out. Like I said, man, you got to look inward. What did I do to cause this? Did I do anything to cause this? And we have to face that. And we just don't want to. We just don't want to. So that's going to end episode 8. I want to thank everybody who's listening. Listen, if you have any questions, if you have any topic ideas, if you want to be a guest on the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast, reach out to me, Knucklehead Chronicles podcast at gmail.com. I now have a website you can go to, knuckleheadchroniclespodcast.com/GoDaddySites.com. Okay, so it's Knucklehead Chronicles podcast.GoDaddySites.com. You can go to that website. You can fill out the form there, and shoot me an email and let me know if you want to be a guest. I thank every one of you guys who listen, who comment on the podcast, follow me on Facebook, follow me on YouTube, all that. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to take this podcast bigger and better. I'm going to start having guests on and go from there. All right. So until next time, I will see you guys on the flip. Love y'all.
Thank you for listening. I hope I didn't fry your brain too bad. Come back through and give me another chance. You can listen on all platforms and visit us at knuckleheadchroniclespodcast.podbean.com. Until next time, in the words of the incomparable Jerry Springer, take care of yourself and each other.